Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you are new or haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button.
And hit the bell.
Yes, hit the bell. So today, what are we going to talk about?
I think we're talking about Libras today.
Libras, all right. I think there's a few tips that I think would be very beneficial for anyone who is a Libra, or if you know someone who's a Libra in your life, this could help you maybe understand them better.
It can help you communicate with or work with Libras in a way that helps you understand where they're coming from a bit better, and helps you get better results out of your relationship with them.
Yes. So no matter if your sun is in Libra, your moon, your ascendant, or you have a lot of planets in Libra, or you're trying to, like we said, understand some Libra that's in your life better, I think you'll find these tips really, really helpful. They are based on the Vedic literature.
Yes, they're based on classical Vedic texts as well as commentary on those texts. One of the primary ones that we're using is called Paladipika, which is one of the most popular Vedic texts is on Vedic astrology, or Jyotish, also Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, and some others. And based on all of that information, as well as our experiences in life from doing readings and interacting with people that we know are Libras, we're pulling all that information in and then deciding, okay, this is kind of the natural pattern that we're seeing with people that have the influence of the sign of Libra in their life.
Yes. And always remember, everyone's birth chart is really unique to them. So even if, because there's only 12 signs in the zodiac, so there's going to be a lot of people with Libra energy. Things can be different for you than from another Libra. But again, these are very general tips that are very real and true that will help you.
Yep. So let's start out by explaining some of the symbology behind the sign of Libra. A lot of people are aware that when you think of Libra, you think of the scales. But what a lot of people don't know is that those scales traditionally were considered to be the scales of a merchant, rather than the scales of justice.
Which is quite interesting. I don't know if you've noticed, but I always see a lot of law firms, and I think even like our United States Justice Department, they use the symbol of the scales to represent justice. And there's definitely a
lady holding them, I think, with a blindfold.
Yeah. So there's definitely a connection to law and why the Libra scales have become a symbol for that. Yeah, there still is, as you see some of the stuff that we talk about today, there is still going to be a connection between Libra and law or justice. However, I just think it's interesting to point out the original symbology being the symbology of a merchant's scale. It's a little fun fact.
Yeah, and that's because if you think about a merchant in ancient times, they would have this scale, right? And they would put weights on one side and then weigh the goods or the gold or whatever it is until it's perfectly balanced on both sides, perfectly symmetrical. And the reason why I brought up that symbology at the beginning of this video is so that you can remember that as we go through and talk about all these tips, because the sign of Libra kind of influences you to want to recreate that perfection of both sides being perfectly equal all the time in everything.
Yes. And I think balance being the key word, you're going to hear us use that word a lot, but it's very indicative of a Libra's nature. So typically Libras want everything to be just, reasonable, fair, and they tend to be very diplomatic people. So I would say, and maybe you notice this about yourself, or again, the Libra person that maybe you're thinking of in your head, you kind of already have a very natural inclination for diplomacy. You can kind of maybe be that in your life or, you know, in other people's lives and help them out. You know, maybe be like the one to kind of help resolve conflicts, or
A Libra can be a perfect mediator.
a mediator. And that can be, again, as like a profession, but also just any arguments that are going on. You know, you as that Libra,
You can see both sides.
yeah, you could see both
Yeah.
sides. So just try to remember that, especially if you're facing a conflict. Try to find some sort of reasonable resolution where you compromise with the other person.
And help other people compromise with each other. That's really, if you're standing in between two people having an argument, you kind of become that scale.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that person's side, and then you're seeing that person's side.
Yeah.
And you're trying to help them be able to see each other's side. A Libra can really perform that function very well.
I imagine, I mean, this may apply to you or not, but I imagine, like, I think of myself back in, you know, middle school or high school, and, like, as girls, we would get in, like, fights all the time. And I feel like there was always that one friend that in the group that was always kind of neutral.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I felt bad. It was probably that wasn't me.
That was the Libra energy.
Yeah, it's probably the Libra energy. That wasn't me, but they were probably the one where one friend was like,
Yeah.
and the other friend was like, and they had to kind of sit there in the middle and take it.
Yeah.
And while that might not feel so good, it's actually, it's a positive.
It's a talent.
It's a talent.
The sign of Libra is ruled by which planet? Do we
Oh,
know?
I wonder if they know.
Do you know?
Quiz. You can't really answer us, but Venus, which is the planet of love and beauty and all things luxurious.
Everything luxurious, yeah. Fine arts,
Yes.
wealth, vehicles, comfort. And this is a unique fact from Vedic astrology in particular that you won't usually find anywhere else in other forms of astrology. Venus is known as Shukracharya in Vedic astrology.
Shukracharya.
Shukracharya. Acharya actually means like a teacher or a guru or mentor. And so Shukracharya is the teacher, the guru of materialism, whereas Jupiter on the other side is the teacher of higher spirituality, or like the sort of moral laws of humanity, which sometimes go a little bit against enjoyment. They prioritize morality above
Doing what's right.
above, you know, feeling good or enjoying and experiencing luxury and sensory pleasures and stuff like that. Shukracharya's Venus is kind of the opposite. So Venus is like very encouraging of everything that you could enjoy out of life materially.
Yes.
So that energy comes with the Libra energy.
Yes.
The energy of enjoyment.
Yeah, so because Venus rules the sign of Libra, you as a Libra or your Libra person in your life will naturally like materialistic things. And
Yeah.
okay, granted, most of us to an extent
I mean,
do.
and this is also very generalized because, of course, you have to look at the whole chart. So, like, I think Ramana Maharishi, which is a very famous yogi, was a Libra ascendant. And obviously he's not materialistic, so you have to
Say
see
that name again?
Ramana Maharishi, I think.
I could never say.
Yeah.
He just pulls these names out. I'm like, oh.
So just because someone has Libra ascendant or Libra sign activated in their life doesn't mean they're going to be completely materialistic. You have to see their whole chart.
Yes.
But if we're just analyzing the nature of this sign,
Yes.
then it is related to material enjoyment.
Yes.
and things
Everything
like
we're saying, again, and I know we've said it, but everything we're saying in this video is not about every single Libra. It will depend on the placement of your planets. But these are really, really true, real generalizations that can help you in your life. So, find things that you can appreciate with beauty. So whether, that's getting your hair, your nails done.
Surrounding yourself with art.
Art.
You're going to have good taste in art naturally.
Yes, and any kind of art too. So obviously, that's going to be very specific to you. And every so often, Libras, it's important that you do something for yourself that has to do with this element of Venus and materialistic enjoyment. So, ladies, treat yourself, get a massage, get your nails done, do a little shopping, of course, like don't max out your credit card, but, buy yourself something. And men, it goes, the same for men and whatever they might like to do.
Yeah, Libra, I've known some Libra ascendant men with also the sun and other planets in Libra, and they're good at kind of nourishing themselves, or the ones that I've known have been. They're kind of, they kind of like to make themselves their meals and relax and things like that. Yeah. So
maybe a bit more cleaned up, polished. Sometimes.
Yeah,
not always, but
I think I might have taken it as a little bit feminine, but
it's not.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
And men, there's nothing, again, wrong with
it's Venus.
Treating yourself. Yeah, this will improve your Venus. So also these tips, all of these things we're saying, you're ruled by Venus, Libra. So if you do these things, it makes Venus or Shukracharya happy. And you always...
in your birth chart.
In your birth chart. So you're kind of strengthening it. So another thing, Venus rules, I think I mentioned it earlier, is love and relationships.
Yeah.
So,
and particularly with the sign of Libra, this is the 7th sign of the original birth chart. And what we mean by that is, in Sanskrit, it's called the Kalapurusha Kundli, which means the birth chart, Kundli, of the personification of time. And so in Vedic astrology, we have this idea of an original birth chart or a primordial birth chart, which is always Aries ascendant. Because of that, Libra becomes the 7th house of that original birth chart. So Libra is always going to have some significations related to the 7th house, which is the house of relationships.
Yes. And when we'll talk further on about the houses, we'll make more videos and the signs
about the houses and all these different concepts.
Yes, so there's a lot there, but being that original 7th house energy, which is relationships, it's also business partners.
Yeah,
which
it doesn't have to be romantic relationship.
Yes.
It can be any kind of coming together.
Yes.
Or union. And one thing that's really good about, really interesting about that is the Sanskrit word for union or coming together of two things to become one is yoga. And a lot of people who have the sign of Libra in their chart will naturally, whether they're conscious of it or not, even if it's just because it's physical exercise or whatever, they'll get into yoga. The physical yoga or some other kind of yoga. They may get more intentionally spiritual about it, or they may just like to go to yoga classes, but the energy of Libra really likes yoga because of that natural desire to achieve union with something or someone because of it being the 7th house of the birth chart.
So when you're thinking about your relationships, romantic or otherwise, but definitely someone that's really special in your life. That's why it's kind of more a romantic partner or a business partner, someone that holds a very special role in your life. Try to make sure that you share values. There's someone that is uplifting. They can bring out the best in you, because once you find those qualities with your partner, it will kind of ensure that long-lasting relationship.
Yeah. Because you need some kind of uniting with someone or something.
Yes.
In your life if you have Libra. So
yeah.
So you need to make sure it's someone that you want to unite with. Otherwise, you're going to unite with someone because you want to unite, but then they're not someone that you should be united with, and then that's not going to be fun.
United with me.
Yes.
So this kind of goes back to that balancing energy that a Libra has. You have a gift that when there's difficult times out there, you're naturally inclined to find balance and harmony. So whereas there's a situation that's going on, maybe other people might be a little bit more stressed out or chaotic about it, a Libra person, because of that balance, tends to maybe not get as worked up about it.
You can be mellow.
Yeah, you can be more mellow. You can kind of find that harmony in times of challenge and bring peace to yourself. So again, this is going to kind of go, make sure you, of course, always take care of yourself and find that peace within yourself, but you could also use this to help others who maybe are struggling a little bit more with some of these issues.
So one of the best natural talents that a Libra can exhibit or develop over their life is the ability to have a really strong intuition. Libras are known in Vedic astrology, the sign of Libra is known as an intellectual sign. So that can create, and it's also an air sign. So a Libra can think, a Libra can have ideas, and follow a path of ideas to come to a conclusion. So a great example of this is one of the most famous Vedic astrologers in the world, K.N. Rao, who is known to be a Libra ascendant. And he's also known to be one of the most intuitive astrologers alive in our era, who can come to some really amazing conclusions and make really amazing predictions when he's analyzing people's birth charts. One of the things that he said about reading birth charts is that he would kind of absorb the birth chart, all their divisional charts, all of their astrological information, and then he would go do something else.
Yeah.
Or be doing something else.
Yeah.
And that moment when he wasn't paying attention, he described it as like a eureka moment where he wasn't paying attention anymore to their charts, but he had previously absorbed them. All of a sudden, some flash of realization would come.
There's also an element with astrology of having just this intuition. And I know even if you study astrology or not, every single person has experienced intuition before. So, Libras, this is something that you naturally have. And I think it's just really important to always, and this is for anyone, but to always kind of trust that gut, use your intuition. And there are ways to kind of increase your intuition too. So if you feel that maybe you're not getting as much gut feelings, or maybe your ticker's a little off, what would you say are a couple ways someone can maybe improve their intuition?
Try trusting it sometimes. If you think something is going to happen, or if you think, if you just come to some conclusion intellectually, Libra's going to be really, the intuition is going to be on an intellectual level for Libra because it's an air sign. But if you feel like you think something is the case, then act on that and see if you were right. The other thing is, I would probably maybe do the mantra of Venus, Om Shukraya Namaha. And
yes.
We can put the link to that mantra in the description below,
yes.
because we have documented the sound of all of the planetary mantras.
Yes.
And those can be really useful. And Venus, the planet Venus, as Shukracharya, even though he's considered the teacher of materialism, in order to achieve that position in the sort of mythology of Vedic astrology, he underwent severe meditative austerities and achieved this really high spiritual state in order to be able to achieve his position as Venus. And so Venus can also represent what's called siddhis. in Sanskrit, which are perfections of meditative practice. So if you meditate and connect with the energy of Venus, Venus can also, on top of sort of bringing materialistic enjoyments into your life, Venus can also, if you're wanting it, help that intuitive ability or help that psychic ability that Libras might be able to have.
Yeah. I think K.N. Rao, so he said he's a great example of a leader in the astrology world. His teachings are studied all over the world. He's, very well renowned. And there's a few other really famous Libras who have this energy of being like a very inspirational, a guide, someone who kind of takes care of their followers.
Mahatma Gandhi.
And so, yeah, the one that I was going to say comes to mind would be Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
Was also a Libra ascendant, and these are just people that naturally, if you're inspirational, people will follow you, they'll listen to you, and you can become really inspiring to others.
Also, the 10th house of a Libra's chart is going to be Cancer. And one of the things that we can take from that is that in your career or your action in the world, even if you don't have a career, whatever your course of action is, the karma that you make in the world, you can manifest that Cancer energy in that particular part of your life. So that can mean that you can be a source of nourishment for other people in your career. Like she was just saying, being a leader or someone that other people want to follow a lot, those people are going to be nourished by you, nourished by your leadership, nourished by what you do with them.
So everyone's going to have weaknesses, and I think, and as you get to know more about your own birth chart, you'll kind of, it's really fascinating. You'll kind of see how where the weaknesses come up in your birth chart, and then you'll be like, oh, yeah, I actually do have a problem with that or an issue with that. So
this is the part of the video where we roast Libra.
Yeah. No. Again, yeah. Everyone's birth chart is unique, so don't, this isn't every single person, but I think especially maybe our experience, if there was one thing I noticed about some Libras, is they tend to be a little bit judgmental, and that, again, they have a social intelligence where they know how to kind of be, again, like we said, that person in the middle that's not really taking an extreme side, maybe not involved in so much of the controversial topics. So
they might be able to control themselves from saying the judgment.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, back to the example of, like, the one friend in the group that was never in a fight with anyone. They probably never really got in those arguments with each other because, they might feel a certain way or they might agree or disagree, but they don't necessarily show that. Yeah. But they can still be a little bit more judgmental of others because that's very natural for them to take a very middle approach, but it might not be to others. So that can actually also become a little bit of a frustration for a Libra. And there's something about that has to do with those merchant scales.
Yeah, so Libras, because of that finding balance, right, everything that we're talking about with Libra can in some way be brought back to that finding balance or symmetry. So Libra can be extremely talented at deal making. They can be extremely talented at buying and selling things, buying things at the right price where they can sell it at a good price, where they can get, a good deal to profit. And that's really good in a lot of areas of life, because you want to try to find a deal where everyone's happy, right, or where everything's fair.
Yeah.
However, one place where this doesn't usually work is in relationships, romantic relationships especially. romantic relationships are usually not fair in any way because love is extreme. So, and that doesn't have to be unhealthy. But a Libra can sometimes want their relationship to be so perfectly like, well, if I did the dishes, that means that you have to do the dishwasher. Or if I did this, then that means you have to do that. And I'm doing this, so that means you have to give me this. And if I give you that, then...
Almost.
And then it's like, well, you're going to suck the love out of it.
Yeah.
If
it's very transactional almost.
Yeah, transactional.
Yeah.
Very transactional.
And it's like every time without fail. Like, this is something we've certainly observed with a Libra that we know. And sometimes life doesn't always go that way, or the day doesn't go that way. And when you're in a relationship with someone, basically we can... if you are in therapy or ever talk to a social worker, you're basically getting some free social work advice here. But, just with listening to
I'm not a social worker.
No! I'm saying what we're saying is very much like talking about relationships and give and take in a relationship. I'm joking that it's like if you don't see a social worker, you're getting like a free session here.
Yeah.
You got to give and take in a relationship. And I think people that are in them understand that. And, so
be careful about accidentally, because this will be natural to you, and it is positive in other areas of your life to find that perfect fairness. But be careful about bringing too much of a feeling of fairness into your romantic relationships because it can definitely make it transactional, and it can make it kind of really like unenjoyable for the other person. So one more thing that we have to say, unless we think of something else before the video's over, is that the planet Saturn is very good for the sign of Libra. For some complex reasons in Vedic astrology that we'll get into in future videos. But basically what that means is that the color black can be very good for anyone who is a Libra.
Okay, this is interesting because I did not purposely wear black because we were going to do the Libra video. We actually didn't know what we were going to talk about quite yet. But it just so happens I am wearing black as we're talking about Libra and how black would be a really good color for Libras to kind of wear a lot.
And coincidentally purple, and we have purple in the background too. And purple is Saturn also, just like black.
So it's just, this is a prime example of like astrology just kind of happening. And intuition just kind of happening.
And that's one of the best ways you can learn astrology is through observation in your life.
Yeah, and right now that just hit me. And like, even though we've been studying this for a while, I did not intentionally wear black because I knew we were talking about Libra. I just happened to be. So anyway, I had to chime in on that. But
so black can kind of just be like a lucky color, and it can be a color that can resonate with you in your life, whether it's you really like to wear black, and we've seen this with some Libras just naturally. They have no idea that they're a Libra or anything like that, but just really liking to wear black or really liking to have black things or black decorations or black car or something like that. Having the color black can be kind of lucky for you because of it carrying the energy of Saturn, and Saturn is really good for the sign of Libra
in general.
In general.
And if you think about it, it aligns with the Libra love for balance, elegance, strength. Black kind of emulates those qualities. So again,
actually really because Saturn is egalitarianism. That Saturn is equality. Saturn loves perfect equality and doesn't want anything to ever be unfair. And that makes sense because Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra. So,
And
that was a good observation.
We'll talk about what exalted means, but essentially when the planet Saturn in a chart is in the sign of Libra, it is exalted, and that just means that it's very, very happy being in that sign.
It's most happiest possible.
It's the best sign that Saturn can be in. It makes him feel the most happy and powerful, and it can give its best results. Of course, you have to take into consideration other things about the chart, but it is exalted in Libra. So, the best thing, and as you continue to learn with us, my favorite thing about studying Vedic astrology is just how things make sense, and we'll just kind of keep being like, well, it makes sense. It just makes sense. Yeah, everything just kind of it comes full circle, and it's like, and you'll just start making connections and drawing all these conclusions and lines here and there, and it's like whoa, it's like it's just really awesome.
And the reason it makes sense is because it's a study of reality itself. I mean, that's what the classical texts on Vedic astrology recommend, is that you actually put these things into practice in your life so that you can have a direct experience of it, rather than just believing someone about any. No one should ever just believe something from anyone. You should take it, put it into practice, and then see your experience and see what
learn
it is.
and observe for yourself. So I hope these tips were helpful for any Libras out there. Feel free to, share your thoughts in the comments.
Any experience, if you know someone in your life is a Libra and you have experiences with them that are similar or different from anything we said, or if you're a Libra yourself and you have thoughts or things that you want to add.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Leave it in the comments below.
And again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and go check out on our YouTube page. We have a couple different mantras. We have two different ones, a longer version
Venus mantra.
For Venus, a longer version and a shorter version. So you can just listen to them, you can chant them. But this is a great way to embrace your Libra-ness.
And connect with Venus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until next time.